podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Blueberry.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
The Big G, Tokyo Town, StompDown.
Welcome to day 15 of the Tokyo Town StompDown, Big G Tokyo Town StompDown. I'm TC Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim.
It's 31 days of nothing but Godzilla.
Woohoo!
As we salute the upcoming release of Legendary's Godzilla King of the Monsters, which Kim is just like so hyped about. Did we introduce ourselves? I'm TC Kirkham.
I said I'm Kim Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're glad you're joining us all month long for this great new mini-series. We hope that you will be here and check out our sites that sponsor this. That's Subject Cinema, of course, eCinemaOne, of course, and Kaiju Corner, Kim's new Patreon all kaiju show where she tackles a movie a week, all different types of kaiju all over the place. You have to be a member for $5 a month or higher to get that and our other two member-only podcasts over there at patreon.com. But it's very much worth it. You also get all kinds of cool perks and a few new things coming along in June. And we hope that you will be part of that because we can certainly use the support. Patreon.com/PNRNetworks. Okay, now we are up to the first really direct sequel done within the Godzilla franchise, and it's the last film in the Showa period Godzilla films.
Terror of Mechagodzilla. I'm sorry. Arguably, now you're saying like the first direct sequel, and that is true. Simply because you look at Godzilla or Gojira, and you can't really call Godzilla Raids Again a sequel.
Right. This one picks up right where the previous film left off, or right close to it.
Well, it's after, not long after, but it's after.
And it features some of the same characters as Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, which came out the year before.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 1975. It would be the final Godzilla film for 9 years, and the least successful film to this date in the entire Godzilla franchise.
Really?
I find that interesting. It was released briefly in America in theater in 1978 as simply The Terror of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about this one.
Just jumping back to what I was saying.
I said yesterday, I hadn't seen Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. I've seen bits and pieces of this over the years. I've never seen the whole thing, so I'm not going to be coherent. I'm going to be doing stupid jokes again. Just so you know, I'm simply the straight man.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not. I can think of a few things to say in there, but I'll get yelled at. So as we mentioned, we're dealing with the events of the previous film, where these aliens had come to Earth with their robot duplicate of Godzilla. You know, it would have just made more sense to do a mind control thing on Godzilla, but no, these schmucks have to.
But they've done that before, and it didn't work.
Well, now
they learned from the mistakes. Don't tell them they're doing things wrong.
It's a different bunch of aliens. The aliens in this movie actually have a name this time. They're referred to as the Simians.
That's good.
Which makes sense because they have like an ape-like.
Well, so it's
features.
the same villains, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same bad guys.
Basically, I think so. Yeah,
because those were ape-like too in the third planet from the black hole. Bad guys. Okay.
So, I think they figured because they're actually doing a sequel, maybe we need to give them a name instead of the incredibly long generic name that doesn't really tell us anything.
Right.
So, a group of agents from Interpol are searching for parts of Mechagodzilla for reasons that I don't quite get. And
they hope to gather information on the robot builders.
Yeah. And they're searching for parts of him at the bottom of the Okinawa Sea.
It all depends on just what kind of parts they're looking for. Okay. All right. I'm getting the death stare. Let's move on.
And we all know where that was going, straight into the gutter. And for once, I'm not driving it there, so that's got to be some kind of a first. So they're using a submarine, and they're trying to find out, what they can about the parts that they find from the wrecked robot and the aliens that put it together. The problem is that while they're searching, the submarine is attacked by this beast, this gigantic. It turns out it's a dinosaur that lives underwater. It's called.
Oh, sure it is.
Look, let's just go with the movie in suspension of disbelief, okay? A monster called Titanosaurus. And would you? Oh my gosh! Look, all right, we're gonna do this now.
I haven't seen anything that looked this stupid since Reptilicus. I'm sorry.
All right, let's not go crazy. At least this thing actually, moves.
Okay, fair enough.
And has, useful appendages. Unlike Reptilicus with his little flaily arms and his little teeny wings that do exactly jack squat. Mm-hmm. But, okay, we're going to do this now, apparently. Titanosaurus, now, I will be the first to admit, I am a kaiju fan, a longtime kaiju fan, but even I will admit that there have been some members of the kaiju family who have looked less than intimidating. We'll go with that.
Now, are you speaking of strictly Japanese kaiju, or are you speaking of all kaiju?
No, I'm speaking of all kaiju. Reptilicus is a primo example of
Giant
that.
Claw.
Giant Claw is another great example of that. But Reptilicus, I understand. I'm sorry. Titanosaurus.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you.
No, it's my fault. This thing is goofy looking. There, I said it. I'm sorry. I just think it's goofy looking. It's like it's like they took a seahorse and a giraffe and just smashed them.
And an iguana and smashed them
and
together.
And smashed them all together until they got this and went, fine, run with it. So, anyway, getting back to the movie. So naturally, Interpol's like, well, what the hell happened to our sub? And so it got all torn up. So they find out that Titanosaurus is actually being controlled by a human being.
Of course it is.
Yes. A man named Shinzo Mifune, who is a mad scientist.
Angry scientist!
Sheep in the big city joke.
I heard the pause and I'm like, oh, I missed my cue.
Yes,
okay,
you
go
missed
ahead.
your cue.
Sorry.
You're one line and you blow it. You had one job.
I got it in.
All right. And his whole thing is that mankind sucks and is evil, and I want to destroy everybody else but me and my daughter. As it turns out, he has a daughter named Kasura, and Kasura is also working with him. Although she tells the people from Interpol that her dad is dead, which he's not. And it turns out that that the doctor is visited by a friend of his who is working with the aliens. And the aliens are working to rebuild Mechagodzilla because he worked so well the first time. The aliens offer Mifune, like, they're like, hey, if you help us, if you help us out with Titanosaurus and use him when we tell you to and all this stuff like that, then Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla can, Mechagodzilla 2. Electric Boogaloo. I'm sorry, I had to do it. I'm so sorry. They can be used to destroy mankind. His whole thing, he's another one of these scientists. His whole thing was, there are still dinosaurs, and all the scientists were all, you're crazy. And, it's like, I'll take revenge on all of them and all that kind of crap.
I'll kill them all!
The whole, they thought me mad. Well, I'll show them, that kind of thing. Yeah, because that doesn't make you look like you're king of Crazy Town. So then the aliens are still after the same thing. They want to destroy all the humans so they can take over the planet, blah, blah, blah. The problem is that this marine biologist, falls in love with Kasura, naturally, and winds up telling, her information that, Interpol's trying to find ways to destroy Titanosaurus and the aliens and all this stuff like that. As we find out, Katsura is a girl with something extra, and no, it's not that. She's a cyborg, and because she was ill and she needed to be saved and all this stuff like that. And so, as it turns out, that what can disable Titanosaurus is sound waves of supersonic power. And they happen to have a supersonic wave oscillator, just hanging around.
Of course they do.
Somebody just went, oh, hey, I've got one of those in my shed. I'll go get it.
They borrowed it from Peter Graves when he was testing the sound on the giant locusts. But
the problem is that Katsura, when Titanosaurus shows up and they're going to use this sonic weapon against him, she sabotages the weapon. And when all seems lost, all of a sudden Godzilla comes in to save the day, and man, that sounds weird. And he fights Titanosaurus off. So, later on in the film, Akira, who was the biologist, he goes and he's going to visit Katsura, and he winds up getting caught by the aliens because subplot and reasons, and he has to watch as the aliens are all like, we're going to sick our monsters on Tokyo, and you get to watch, And the problem is, while this is going on, Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla 2 are getting close to Tokyo, and Interpol is trying like crazy to get the oscillator fixed again for the supersonic wave machine. And the Japanese military is trying to do their best to keep the monsters out, and it's actually working up to a point, but not. I mean, they're not driving them back all that far. Katsura, because like I said, she is a cyborg, and apparently is under like some kind of control by another one of the aliens, the leader of the aliens. Because Akira's begging her to don't let this happen and all this stuff like that. And as it turns out that there's something inside of her that's being used to control Titanosaurus. And Godzilla shows up again to fight Titanosaurus, but the problem is now it's Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla 2, and Godzilla's like, oh crap. It's like, alright, this isn't going like I wanted it to. So, the thing is, the people at Interpol managed to get the wave oscillator working correctly, this supersonic weapon, and they, get it going and get it working, and that winds up causing Titanosaurus to become, disoriented. And so Godzilla's like, okay, well, fine, you deal with that. I'm going to deal with this jerk that tried to rip off my face. And he winds up attacking Mechagodzilla 2. So people from Interpol have found out where the aliens are, and they've made their way into the aliens' base, and they rescue Akira, they kill the professor, and they kill a bunch of the aliens. Welcome to Earth. Bang!
We come in peace. Shoot to kill.
No, they showed up first.
Yeah.
So, it's like the whole thing with Will Smith in Independence Day, welcome to Earth, sock. So the aliens that are left they get in their ship and they're like, we're gonna get out of here. And Godzilla's like, oh, no. You people wrecked my weekend, you're gonna pay for it. And he uses his, atomic fire and destroys their ship. Katsura is still alive, but not for long. As she's, Akira's like, I love you, we're gonna get out of this and all this stuff, and she's all like, no, we can't, because I have to die to destroy Mechagodzilla, and she shoots herself, because she is the control device for Mechagodzilla 2, because it's been put in her body.
No!
Yeah, the aliens implanted it in her body when they did that whole cyborg operation thing. So she dies, and it's sad. And the thing is, now there's nothing to control Mechagodzilla, and Godzilla's like, okay, you might want to shut your eyes for this. This is going to be painful. And he completely wrecks Mechagodzilla 2 again. And And Godzilla then they're still using the oscillator on Titanosaurus, which apparently doesn't bother Godzilla at all. And he winds up winning over Titanosaurus. And after that's done, again, it's a case of everybody's kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. And Godzilla's like, well, I'm done. And you know what? I'm just not in a city wrecking mood today. Bye. And he just heads back out into the water, and heading back to Monster Island in peace.
Yeah. Interesting to note that Kenji Sahara was also in this film again. Also interesting to note, obviously, I'm getting my notes crossed. I was reading notes and I'm like, this is not the one I was talking about. I was talking about when it said that it wasn't well received by Toho. That was Smog Monster.
Oh.
Not this one. This actually got good reviews compared to the last few films that had been out, and it did done well. It had actually returned darker tones to the series, and I thought it was interesting that fans consider Titanosaurus to hark back to the more realistic kaiju of the Showa era, according to a Wikipedia entry, and we're sitting here laughing our head off at it.
It's not that. I guess, it is, I don't know about realistic looking. I'm like, I guess it's kind of realistic looking. It's just dumb looking. There's dumb looking things in nature, but, I guess that's one of them, so.
It was the first Godzilla film to be screenwritten by a woman, Yukiko Takayama, and Ishiro Honda returned after a number of years away from directing, period, to do this film. And, it was also the first Godzilla film to feature nudity.
Yes.
Although it was fake nudity because it was a mannequin, but still they cut it out of the U.S. version.
The scene where she's being operated on.
It is the lowest grossing Godzilla film in Japan. I don't know about here because they didn't really do much.
I don't think it was here long enough,
right?
Like released in theaters long enough to really make an impact.
They did actually on the original release in America put together a prologue that was a service that served as a history of Godzilla. I don't know why they felt they needed to do that.
I don't have the faintest idea.
Using footage from Invasion of Astro Monster, All Monsters Attack, Ebra, Horror of the Deep, Son of Godzilla, and a number of other films. That was the version put out by Henry G. Saperstein, who also was responsible for Gigantus the Fire Monster. So it's like, okay.
It's like, look, the people who came to see this movie know who Godzilla is. Trust me.
This was the least attended Godzilla film in Japan, and one of only 2 Godzilla films to sell less than 1 million tickets in Japan.
Wow.
It was also hitting all of monster movies, not just Godzilla, but also the ones put out by Toei and the other studios.
Well, the thing is, people unfortunately tend to think like, oh, well, Japanese monster movies, that's Godzilla. No. Other studios were doing their own monster movies. They weren't as well known and long lasting as Godzilla.
Except for Gamera.
Yeah. But there were other monster movies out there.
Yeah.
And like anything else, eventually the public goes, we're a little done with this right now.
Yeah.
You always have the diehard fans that want to see that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like everything. It just, eventually the pendulum swings the other way.
Toho didn't have an intention of putting Godzilla on mothballs after this film.
No.
They had actually written
There's no closet that big. Could you imagine a wardrobe big enough to put Godzilla in? That's a big wardrobe.
There were several screenplays written and submitted, but rejected over the years, and it would be 9 years before Godzilla returned, which was actually probably a good idea since they were doing them every year, and it was kind of getting difficult to keep up with them.
Right.
And it's what served to like, as you said, make the public kind of get, okay, we've had enough. Let's go away for a while. That's what happens with, every kind of movie that cycles through. That's why you don't see that many disaster films anymore. Because back in the 70s, they were just soaking people with them.
Right.
Trust me, I know. Disaster, my Catastrophe Vortex back soon. There's that genre, and then it came back, and another cycle came in 1996 after the success of Twister. Right. All the other ones bombed.
Not for nothing, but disaster movies also we're getting a little off topic here.
Well, it's a little bit, yeah, but that's okay.
I think disaster movies have another problem in the fact that unless it's a period piece, when you have a disaster movie, you have a bunch of people and then you have the disaster, whatever the disaster is.
Right.
And back in the 70s and all, it was, oh no, we're cut off. What do we do? Da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Now it's, oh, that terrible thing happened. Wait, I have my cell phone. Da-da-da-da.
Modern day disaster films have taken on a new life, and America is learning from the two well-received, critically acclaimed films that came out of Norway, The Wave and The Quake, both of which are stupendously good. And I mean, I'm a disaster fanatic. I was fortunate enough to see The Wave on the big screen. They didn't run The Quake up here. I had to watch it on demand. But I'll tell you, both of those, well written, well acted, minimal special effects, and they scare the crap out of you. They're terrific. And I mean, that's what Godzilla was in need of at this time.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't happen again until they brought him back 9 years later at the beginning of what is known as the Heisei period, which was named for the next emperor. Is that what it is for?
We'll look into that.
We'll look into that when we get back. And tomorrow, we will be here with the first of those newer Godzilla films, the revived version, in a film that was intended to be a direct sequel to Gojira.
Yes.
But in America, this is another one where we're going to have to talk about both films because they're so different that it's like crazy. Tomorrow, The Return of Godzilla from 1984 Japan and Godzilla 1985 from America. 1985, obviously.
Yes.
They're completely different, and we'll go over how different they are. Until then,
I'm Kim Brown.
I'm TC Kirkham. Join us again all month long for the Big G, Tokyo Town, StompDown.
You've been listening to the Big G Tokyo Town StompDown from Subject Cinema, Kaiju Corner at eCinemaOne.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.